talking to you about why sexual education should be taught in schools. According to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, in 2014, 249,000 babies were born to women with ages ranging from 15 to 19. Sexual education classes should be taught in all schools to raise awareness of rape culture, unplanned pregnancies, and sexually transmitted diseases. Only 24 states require some kind of sexual education course to be taught in their high schools. Currently, Minnesota public schools are not required to provide students with a sexual education class. Sexual education should be taught in schools to inform students of the preventative measures that can be taken to reduce the risk of being sexually assaulted, having unplanned pregnancy, or contracting a sexually transmitted disease. If sexual education is taught in schools, it will raise awareness on how to prevent sexual assault. Sexual assault is easily prevented if people are fully educated on what it is exactly. Sexual assault, as defined by justice.gov, is any type of sexual contact or behavior that occurs without the explicit consent of the recipient. According to nomore.org, 1 in 5 women are survivors of rape, 1 in every 2 women, and 1 in every 5 men have been victims of some kind of sexual assault in their lifetime. According to RAIN.org, currently only 1/3 of all sexual assault cases get reported because many victims feel like there will be some kind of retaliation. The police may not believe them, or they believe that it is not important enough to report. If students are taught what sexual assault is, the likelihood of it occurring will drastically drop. And if it does occur, people will be more willing to speak up about the assault. Unplanned pregnancies can be prevented in teens if they are properly educated on different forms of contraceptives. According to the National Conference of State Legislature, teen pregnancies have lowered drastically since the 1980s. However, the United States' teen pregnancy rate is still among the highest to other comparable countries. 1 in 4 women under the age of 20 report becoming pregnant at least once. Becoming a teen mom may drastically affect their education and economic well-being. NCLS.org states that only about 50% of teens will obtain their high school diploma before the age of 22. Of the older teens between the age of 18 and 20 attending colleges, only 39% of teen mothers go on to complete their degree. Low education attainment directly correlates with these families' economic lifestyle. Parents without a high school diploma will likely not obtain a high-paying job. There are many ways to prevent teen pregnancy. Teens can be taught about abstinence, about the various forms of contraceptives, and where to obtain these contraceptives. The most effective form of birth control is to abstain from sex, but according to the CDC, more than 47% of teens reported having sex. So teaching teens about other forms of contraceptives will reduce the risk of becoming pregnant. According to the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, the most effective form of contraceptives are IUDs, and otherwise known as intrauterine devices, or an implant into a woman's arm called implant-on. The next most effective form of birth control are injectable form, pill form, patch ring, and diaphragm. The least, but also still very effective, forms of birth control include using condoms, a sponge, and spermicide. Teens are able to obtain some of these forms of birth control from the doctors, and many of these are over-the-counter, so they are available at most drugstores. If more children are taught at a young age how to practice safe sex, they will be at a reduced risk of contracting a sexually transmitted disease. Almost 50% of the planet's population will contract some kind of sexually transmitted disease in their lifetime. Also, half of all sexually active teens will contract some kind of STD before the age of 25. The 6 most common STDs are the human papillomavirus, or HPV, the human immunodeficiency virus, also known as HIV, which can cause AIDS, chlamydia, hepatitis B, gonorrhea, and herpes. Many of these can be prevented with regular testing and with the use of a condom during any kind of sex. HPV also can be prevented by receiving a vaccine. According to the American Sexual Health Association, over half of all new cases of STDs are found in adolescents, and the annual cost of treating teens with an STD is $6.5 billion, and HPV is accountable for 90% of this cost. To prevent unplanned pregnancies, sexually transmitted diseases, and sexual assault, sexual education should be taught in schools. Sexual education was taught in my high school, and I feel like I'm very well aware of the precautions that need to be taken to prevent life-changing events like contracting an STD, having an unplanned pregnancy, or becoming a victim of sexual assault. My teacher in high school taught us how to use various forms of contraceptives, and that the most effective form of contraceptive is just to abstain from sex. With sexual education being taught in schools, the amount of sexual assaults, unplanned pregnancies, and sexually transmitted diseases are projected to decrease. Thank you.